Hi, this is Greg Johnson with Blue Book Services, and I'm joined today by Richard Owen, who is the Regulatory and Legislative VP for Produce Marketing Association. And we are in the week of an election that we've been talking about for quite a long time. And this being a produce industry publication media, we're not going to get into too much of the general politics, but I would like to talk to you, Richard, about what either side winning the election would mean for the fresh produce industry. So I won't put you on the spot and make you make any predictions, but if you could just give us a little, this is what happened here, this would happen here.
Yeah, well, thanks very much for having me, Greg. This is certainly an interesting week by a lot of different records, and thank you for not putting me on the spot to make predictions, because as soon as I make a prediction, it probably wouldn't come true. And to be honest, we probably won't know the full outcome for a few days after the election, if not weeks after the election. But this is, I would say, a very consequential election for a variety of different reasons for the fresh produce industry. One is you've had a lot of significant changes under the current administration related to trade, for example, and how we are interacting with our international partners in terms of trade, imports and exports, how we're developing trade policy. And that's really impacted, I think, some changes that people have seen in their own operations and what they're exporting to other countries, and what we are importing into this country from different places. So as you look at issues like trade, I think you're going to see either a continuation of the same policies, maybe even more harsh policies towards China if you have a continuation of Trump 2, if you will. I think if you have a Biden administration after the election this week, you're probably going to see a reset in some trade positions. I don't know that you'll see a complete backing off of the tariffs with China, for example, but you're going to see a reset in terms of how the U.S. engages with its allies, its partners at different places around the world, in trying to rebuild, if you will, some of those relationships that have been strained over the last 4 years, as this administration has kind of taken a completely different approach to how you interact with its trading partners around the world. So I take trade as one example of a significant difference in how I think two different administrations would approach it.
How about when we talk about the coronavirus and the reaction both leaders would take? It seems to me that President Trump has mostly let states decide kind of what the restriction levels will be generally, and Vice President Biden has indicated that he would like to see a lot stricter mandates. What do you think that would mean for the fresh produce industry, as far as if we assume that that would be true, where President Trump would have more state by state, and Vice President, which would be President Biden, if it happens, might have bigger restrictions nationally?
I think it depends on a couple of things. One is, what's the makeup of Congress that goes along with whoever ends up as president this week? So I think the ability, regardless of who's president, whether it's Trump 2 or Biden 1, I think part of their ability to get things done will depend upon the makeup of Congress to support or oppose what they're trying to do. But I do think that what you're saying is generally correct, whether it's Trump or any Republican administration. Typically, you see a more hands-off approach to dealing with regulatory issues, and those are often pushed down to a state level or local level to make some decisions. So I think you would continue to see that type of approach under a Trump 2. I think if Biden is elected, then I think you will see more of a consolidation of decisions and mandates and power within the federal government, because he's made it very clear during debates and during the election process, campaigning process, that he would take a different approach. He would take some more definitive actions at the federal level to try to get hands around the COVID epidemic and try to at least lessen the impact on the health and safety of people within the country. how that would translate, I think, into the fresh produce industry is, it would affect what happens with borders in terms of who would end up with the next administration, how they treat people that are and products that are coming across the border, how that is treated. I think you would see, I wouldn't say a different role, but it's certainly a more active role with FDA, with CDC in interacting with places of business and how they control or the practices they put in place for handling COVID and the impacts from that. So I think you can look at the patterns of Republican control or Democratic control over the years, and you can see that continuing under whoever would win the next presidential election.
Okay, well, this week will be a very momentous one, and hopefully a peaceful one as we figure this out. So, Richard, I appreciate you coming on with me today, and look forward to talking to you after the election to see what this is going to mean.
Great. Thanks, Greg, for having me, and I'll be watching what comes out of tomorrow.